met. Some of you from London Reception Centre, they're nice and early. And I always like, the best thing, well, not the best thing, but one of the good things about doing UK and Ireland is those of you who might have done a European trip, did I say Ireland? Excuse me, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. Their trips in this region is that we get away at what maybe not be regarded to, but a reasonable hour in the morning. When I got to the LRC at 6:30, the 4 tours had left an hour before. So we can count ourselves lucky with that. And I know some of you had just flown in, and we got away all on time. We had everybody together. Then we went to the Ibis Earls Court, collected the majority of our clan, and we made our way to our first stop. Can anyone remember the first stop? Windsor. Windsor, yes. So set off on the first day, covering a lot of all the first day information. This is how we do it, this is what we're doing. And I almost can't remember all of that part. But we got to Windsor. Some of you got up and went through the castle. I know pretty much everybody was watching the Horse Guards, well not the Horse Guards, but the guard, changing of the guards that went past. The best thing about doing it there as well, again, not the crowds. If anyone is looking at doing that back in London, you'll want to get there a few hours before to be able to get the views that we had in Windsor. Then from Windsor, we made our way to Bath, and again, free time there. I know many of you went into the Abbey, many went into the Roman Baths, before we then got to our final destination for the day, which was Gloucester. And we had the beautiful views at the accommodation. We managed to squeeze in the entrance. Tiny driveway. And even, when we were driving in, Yurik didn't realise, and he's like, no, you're joking, that's not the driveway. And I said, no, yeah, he was, wasn't he? It was great, yeah. And, yeah. And we managed to get in, and we had to turn around. He said, no, you're joking. I'm like, no, that's actually it. I wasn't back there. But we got in there, and that, you know, going through the UK, not motorways everywhere. We've got a lot of the beautiful countryside and the back roads that go with them. Day 2. We made our way from Gloucester. We headed further north. We got to Chester. And in Chester, I know some of you walked the walls. I know some of you went shopping, investigating many of the shoe stores that are there. But many of you also took up the opportunity to head across and tick off one more country in the United Kingdom, and with our local specialist Steve, and went across and did the Northern Wales excursion, and also took in the Horseshoe Pass on that day. Then we finished the day in Liverpool. Many of you taking up the opportunity to see some of the Beatles memorabilia. I know many of you walked around the docks and took in what Liverpool is famous for. I hope no one really got their names up on the wall. It was not quite enough space trying to find it. But yeah, good place to check out and tick off in Liverpool. Then from Liverpool, we left the city behind as we headed into the Lakes District. So we went past the Haddock Sheep, we went past a numerous amount of lakes, and then some of us went on the steam train as well from Haverthwaite. Got the pictures with Thomas the Tank Engine and around the station. Then we had our cruise across Windermere before we then went to Grasmere for lunch. The inspiration for the Daffodils poem. Did anyone try the gingerbread when they were there? A few. I've also got some more Kendal mint cake if anyone, I'll come down with it if anyone wants a little sample, little extra sample. I have plenty actually. I know you take, was it you guys that take home samples of food? No. I've got a block. I know some of you said that you take home some food from different places. So if anyone still wants some, I do have that. So just let me know today. From the Lakes District though, we left England behind and made our way north and crossed the border into Scotland. First stop was Gretna Green, famous for its marriages of the young, and many of you started the shopping for the Scottish souvenirs immediately on arrival to there. And I already know Iron Brew has become a fast favourite with many of you, as well as it is with Graham. And then from Gretna Green, we finished up in Glasgow for the night for a free evening around the city in the weekend, which we definitely knew it was a weekend through the night. But then from Glasgow, we again left the big bad city behind and we made our way into the countryside. So our first stop was Loch Lomond, stopped on the Bonnie Banks. Some of us took up the opportunity and did the cruise across the lake, seeing the famous sights from Rob Roy's stories, both legend and fact. And then on to Fort William. And on that drive to Fort William was when we drove through Glencoe, and we had our photo stop there, famous for the Glencoe massacre in particular. Fort William was where we stopped for lunch, and then we continued on up to Lagan, which was where that accommodation was, that I think was a fast favourite for everybody, where we stayed that night. Pretty much the only ones, beautiful dinner, beautiful location, and also we had the Highland Farm experience while we were in the Highlands as well. Next day, day 5, we departed from Lagan area, and first stop was Blair Castle, for those that took in the opportunity to head into the castle, owned by the Duke, who has the only private army in Europe. And then we had the morning in Pitlochry as well. From Pitlochry, we made our way back out of the countryside and made our way through Dundee to get to St Andrews, where we had a somewhat temperature change from what we'd had just a few hours earlier. But pictures with the 18th hole. Did anyone get any other? Did anyone do the Chariots of Fire run along the beach? Yes. Someone's taken up that opportunity, although when it's sandy and windy, I wasn't counting on too many people going out and trying that one. From St Andrews, we made our way then into Edinburgh and arrived at Arth Castle. Those R's are really capturing me on this one. I'm going to be practicing and having some Mars bars at the same time. Mars bars. Yes, that night we had our trip out to Torfecken, which again I think was also a favourite among many of you that came along. We had Kenny, who came up to the church as well to do a bit of a welcome and introduction to Torfecken. We had the first introduction and explanation of the Ode to the Haggis as well, and Kenny also sang for you. How many hosts do you know that will do that and can actually sing? I thought that was an extra bonus. The following day in Edinburgh, we met Alan, who is your local specialist, taking you on the city tour around Edinburgh, followed by free time and then a trip out to the Royal Yacht Britannia as well, to go and see exactly how the royals lived. And I know some of you commented, a bit surprised it wasn't completely all lush and luxurious the whole way through. But I suppose when you're at home, you just want your creature comforts, and the royals are just the same. From there, from Edinburgh, that night we had our Scottish show, our last shebang in Scotland, another ode to the haggis done with extra music and extra pizzazz, if you like, taking up the opportunity too for the last sampling of haggis. I know some people did. Following our departure from Edinburgh the following morning, we're up to yesterday, we made our way first to Jedburgh for our final stop in Scotland. We got glimpses of the beautiful Abbey, going through the Scottish borders, then crossing the border into England, where almost instantly the weather changed. Almost instantly. Quite often that temperature difference is the other way around, and it's a bit warmer down here and somewhat colder and rainy up in the north. But we have, I suppose, been lucky that when we've been off the coach, we haven't actually had too much rain. Fingers crossed it holds out for our last day as we make our way to London. So through Jedburgh, and then we made our way to, oh my gosh, I'm having a complete blank, York. When we got to York, we got to take in the Minster. I know some of you went into the Minster, headed down to the Shambles, which again a favourite with all the small stores. Did everyone spot the 2 extra cats that were in the Shambles? Yeah, perfect. At 26 all around York. I know we got 5, which isn't bad for the short walk, but they're all over, not just within the city walls. Some of them are a bit further out, and they're getting more stylised. Soon there'll be cats on every corner, but the ones that are there are pretty cool to try and spot something different around the city of York. And then our arrival into Leeds last night for our final dinner together, and that brings us to today. day 8. Final day as we make our way down and into London. So let me explain how our day will work today. A total of about 5 hours driving to get us down and into London. The stretch to Stratford-upon-Avon in total is about 3 hours, and we're going to stop about an hour and 45 minutes from when we departed. So if we left at 8, we should be stopping just before 10 o'clock. This will be a comfort stop for us all. Obviously 3 hours is just slightly too long to go the whole way down to Stratford-upon-Avon. So when we get to Stratford-upon-Avon, what we're going to do is we're first going to just do a loop past Anne Hathaway's house. Not Anne Hathaway, the current celebrity, but Anne Hathaway, Shakespeare's wife's house. So we're going to go do a loop past. It's not right in the city centre, and we still want to make sure we can show it to you. So we'll loop past it on both sides so everyone can get a photo as we're going there. And then we'll head straight into Stratford-upon-Avon, the town itself. Obviously this is the perfect spot to stop for lunch as we make our way through there, arriving into Stratford-upon-Avon around 11:15, 11:30 say. We're going to make sure we depart Stratford-upon-Avon at about 1:15. We'll confirm obviously as the time we arrive if it's different, but about 1:15, and then it's 1:15, 1:30, and then it's about a 2-hour stretch from there into London. Okay. With the traffic into London being quite an unpredictable beast at all times of the day, depending on what happens on the ring road around London, also known as the Orbit, we should get in to our first stop at about 3:30, 3:45, and that will be Ibis Earls Court. So that will be our first drop-off point, followed by the London Reception Centre. Now, when we get in to these stops, we do ask that you grab your luggage from the coach, and the reason that we do that is so we can make 100% sure everyone has all of their own belongings.